If no one will hire you, chances are it's not your skills, it's your offer. So stop complaining that no one will hire you and instead offer something people already want to buy. It sounds obvious, but you'd be amazed how many freelancers aren't doing this. Over the last 8 years of freelancing, I've noticed that people usually make one of two mistakes. One, they create an offer based on assumptions. It's not something that their ideal client wants or needs, so they don't buy it. Or they don't have an offer at all, and they may not realize it. They might think that telling people what their skills are is an offer, but it's not. An offer is a service that solves a problem for your ideal client. An offer is not getting on a call and asking, I have this skill, what do you want me to do with it? That's how you get stuck working for $10 to $15 an hour and competing with millions of other freelancers on Upwork and Fiverr, which is where freelance dreams go to die. When you create an offer based on assumptions, you might get some clients, but they won't be loyal and selling your offer will be really hard. If you want the kind of business where you have clients lining up for your services, you need one core offer built specifically for your ideal client. And a strong freelance offer has 3 qualities. Number 1, it's relevant, meaning it links to something your clients already care about and pay for. It's also results focused, meaning it's tied to an outcome rather than a task or your time. It should also be repeatable, meaning you can get the same outcome over and over. When your offer checks these boxes, the value of it is immediately clear, and that makes it easier to sell. Another huge benefit of delivering the same offer on repeat is that you can systemize it, and this saves you a ton of time and energy. You don't have to reinvent the wheel with every client. In fact, you don't even have to send proposals because you already have your service mapped out ahead of time. This type of service where everything is mapped out ahead of time is also called a productized service. To turn your skills into a productized service, start by looking at what is relevant to your ideal clients right now. What are they already paying for? I recommend looking for a service they need every month so you can create a retainer offer. That's basically where they have a subscription to your services, because retainers are how you create stability. Now, some freelancers think that if someone else is offering a service, that it's a bad thing, because then they have competition. This is the competition myth. Having competitors is actually a very good thing. The fact that other freelancers and agencies are offering the same service is proof that the concept works and people are actually paying for it. This is called proof of concept, and it's what every successful business looks like before they go all in on a product or service. The truth is that most successful offers aren't new ideas. They're well-packaged solutions. But how do you stand out if you have a service that's similar to everyone else? This is where being results-focused pays off. Remember, being results-focused means that your offer is tied to an outcome instead of tasks and time. That means it's not just about what's included in the service that matters. That does matter, and we'll get to that, but it's also about how you describe the value. You may get the same result and have a similar package as another service provider. But if you can describe the win that you get for the client better than they can, you have a competitive advantage. Here's an example from my business. A few years ago, I was offering social media management services, and I called my service Monthly Social Media Management. I know, really innovative. Then I realized that all my clients were running ads on Meta, and growing on Instagram and Facebook were major priorities for them. So I changed the name of my service to Meta Growth Management. I was able to raise my rates, and that service instantly became easier to sell because it was tied to a clear result that that client was after: growth on Meta. Now, you don't have to have a clever service name, but you do need to communicate the value of your offer wherever you're promoting it or pitching it. For most freelancers, this means on your website, on LinkedIn, in your email pitches, and on your discovery calls. If you're struggling to describe the result and the value, here's a template to guide your messaging. I help insert your ideal client achieve a specific outcome so they can have a meaningful benefit. That last part, so they can, is where you're really gonna create clarity. Without that part, the message will fall flat. Here's what I mean. If I say, I help e-commerce brands grow on social media, any social media manager could say that. But if I say, I help e-commerce brands grow on social media so they can build an audience of buyers without overspending on ads, the specificity makes it instantly clear what makes this offer different and why the client needs it. There's one more thing happening in this statement that I wanted to point out because it will give you an incredible advantage if you can get it right. This statement explains how the offer solves a problem that is typically outside of the scope of this type of service. I'm talking about that part where it says without overspending on ads. For those of you who don't work in marketing or deal with social media, most social media managers are just handling the day-to-day posts and they don't deal with ads. In fact, most social media managers are going to tell you that they are not responsible for the performance of the ad campaign. But experienced social media managers know that when people view organic posts, it creates more touch points with the brand. It also tells the platform who to distribute the ads to so that you don't have to spend so much of your ad budget figuring out who should see the ads. This is a perfect example of describing the value of your offer better than your competitors. Some of your competitors may not even know that something is a benefit. So think about all the different problems that your clients are facing and how your offer can help solve those problems either directly or indirectly. In most cases, the meaningful benefit that your offer creates is going to be related to one of these three things: time, money, or peace of mind. So think about how your offer can help your clients take back their time, make them more money, or alleviate their stress and worries. If figuring out your messaging feels hard right now, don't worry, because it will naturally get easier as you work with clients. In the meantime, just create the strongest messaging that you can that ties your offer to a specific result and a meaningful benefit. Now remember, the result that you get needs to be repeatable. That means you need a pre-created process that you can follow over and over again. And the nuts and bolts of this process is going to be your scope. The scope is everything that's in the service. I like to itemize these in a bullet point list so everything's really clear. That way it's almost like a checklist for myself and for the clients. Now, although you are looking at what other services your clients are buying, as you're looking at those services, don't just blindly copy other people's scopes. As you look at these offers, ask yourself, what in this offer is actually driving the result? And what's there just because that's how it's always been done? Every extra thing that you include that doesn't lead to the result makes your work more cumbersome and harder to repeat. Very often, it usually leads to wasted time for the clients too. Also ask, is anything critical missing? And how could you guarantee a good result? Just because a service is popular doesn't mean there isn't room to improve. I've noticed that a lot of businesses that are more well-established, especially agencies, tend to be falling behind on the market and on trends. A great example of this is when Reels blew up, what was that, in 2020 on Instagram, and all of a sudden, short form video was the thing. But a lot of these social media management packages that were out there weren't built to accommodate the editing and the scripting and the strategy that goes into short form video. Businesses also weren't really ready or didn't know what to do to create all that video content. That's why I started wrapping content strategy into my offer to help my clients generate content consistently, whether that be images, video, whatever they needed. I can take this process and apply it to any client to make sure that we never run out of high-performing content. And it made my service more valuable. Now, dialing in your scope is important, but here is what I've noticed about scopes. Clients tend to glaze over them. I mean, think about it. They're boring bullet point lists. So it's not really the best way to convey the value of what you do. I found that the best way to prove to clients that you have a repeatable process that will get them results is to create a framework. A framework is a repeatable structure that helps you get consistent results. And the reason it's so powerful is that it distills complex ideas into a very digestible format, usually with a visual representation. Sticking with my content strategy example, I created the Game Content Strategy Framework. This is the 4-part process that I use to help my clients generate high-performing content without blowing their budget. And I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. This process is the same process that any experienced content strategist would follow. But because I've chunked it down and taken the time to create this visual, I've instantly made it more memorable. And here's a tip for chunking this down. Explain your process as if you were explaining it to a 5-year-old. Don't try to use fancy terms or jargon, just keep it really simple. The beauty of having a repeatable framework is that you can systemize it and get really efficient at delivering it. You can either systemize it and just get really fast at doing it on your own, or you can systemize it and hire a team and go the agency route. Either way, this is how you scale your freelance offer. Your offer will get you hired, but systems are what keep your business running. If you want to keep the cash flowing, watch this video next, where I share the 5 systems every freelancer needs for a stable business. These are systems that I've spent the last 8 years refining and that I use in my business today.